Gonzo, how is one this evening?
I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. I've just been outside with my son with a new app which enables you to spot the International Space Station. So we followed the International Space Station through the sky. We saw Mars and we saw another satellite. And then we rushed inside because it was time for a cup of tea.
Is it cold with you? Is it just me, or does it feel like it's got a lot colder this last week?
Yeah, the temperature really dropped when we were at the game, funny enough, on Sunday. It dropped a lot. And it was rain. It was horrendous weather. But, yeah, I think there's no cloud cover. It definitely felt right. Summer's over. Someone's drawn a line through summer. And yeah, so, you know, I'm singing Christmas songs.
No, not on here. You're not starting that. I am the Grinch. I don't like Christmas. We're not doing that on here. But speaking of Christmas, Declan Rice is still waiting for his summer present. Never mind his Christmas one. He's still got no deal. But that's the main talking point over the last few days. Understandable, considering he's put in two arguable man-of-match performances in the last 2 weeks. International break is just around the corner, so there's talk that Gareth Southgate might be a way to actually call him up for the England squad. So his name's in the press again. A lot of pundits having their say, a lot of journalists having their say. David Sullivan's mate, Darren Lewis, having his say, which you can all guess what he said. You're a kid, why are you expecting big money? I can tell you're David Sullivan's mate. Are you surprised it's not been sorted yet?
Yes, but also no, because we know how it goes at West Ham. I certainly think they would have done themselves a favour by getting it sorted where, you know, close season or just at the start, particularly after his first performance and he got dropped. If they were going to do it anytime, do it then. Now his stock has obviously risen for those 2 games. Now everybody's talking about him as well. And, I mean, somebody at work has asked about him. So that's somebody that doesn't really know too much about football as well. So when that's happening, you know that a player's profile is being raised as well. It's been all over the radio. I listen to the radio a lot at work, just in the nature of what I do for a living. And it's been all over TalkSport. Jim White, our favourite puppet, shall we say, he went to West Ham. He went to the game against Chelsea and he was clearly very, very impressed with what he saw from Declan Rice. In fact, he dedicated the first hour of his show on Monday to Declan. So it's probably come at a bad time. I just wonder if the board stalling will end up costing them another 10 grand a week.
Yeah, I think it'll cost them more. The longer they leave it, the more it's going to cost to get Declan Rice tied down, etc. What's your view on this? The rumours are that he's been offered 18 grand a week and with bonus appearances, so that if he plays a game, he gets 23 grand for that week, etc. Is that adequate for Declan? I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at this. Is that adequate for a 19-year-old? Or is that adequate for a first-team player? No.
Yeah, well, it's adequate for me, never mind a 19-year-old, and I'm 24, you know. So it's yeah, without the context, it's adequate. But you've got to put the context into it, and he's been absolutely brilliant. And he's not just been brilliant for a couple of games. There were times last season where we were saying he was man of the match. So this is not a new thing. I'm not suggesting he gets 100 grand a week or anything like that, but just comparatively in footballing terms, it is probably a little bit low. I mean, I would go in and say, give him 35 now, the remainder of the season, put it up to 45 next year, and then say ratchet it up 10 grand each year, but say, look, we're going to review it again in 18 months, let's say, and just keep doing that and give him what he wants. The trouble is with anything like this, it's very, very easy to look at it as black and white. So, if the board's the bad guy, or is his agent the bad guy? Well, things are rarely that black and white. It's quite conceivable that they're both awkward bastards to deal with. Maybe you've just got a couple of awkward parties who are very, very hard to deal with. Maybe they just don't like each other. And it's credit to Declan that he can have this hanging over him at such a young age and still perform in the way he does. And then you add to the pressure with that news that you've just given me. I didn't know that Southgate might be looking to draft him into a squad. But even without that, we know he's got the pull between the Republic of Ireland and with England. That's going to be another thing weighing heavily on his mind. To have all that going on at such a young age and still go out and perform And at the same time, he's not like one of these players that goes away abroad or something like that, and you hear little whispers from him. Every little suggestion that you get from Declan suggests that he loves West Ham. So what is being leaked is nice stuff. I think he's handled it very, very well. But that doesn't mean that the club and his agent, I think between them, I think they're doing quite a poor job.
The board definitely are on this one, because whether you agree with what his agent's doing or not, the board's offer is too low. It's as simple as that, as far as I'm concerned. Take the agent's attitude out of it. You look black and white at the contract. Let's say the sources are right, and I think it's fair to say they probably are. They're not a million miles away from it, because they're reliable sources. That is 18 grand a week plus bonuses take up 23 grand a week. That's too low for me, because Oxford's on more than that, and he's played, 7 Premier League appearances or something. Declan Rice is now starting against Man United. He's just started against Chelsea, starting against Man United. You can't get more he's now one of the first names on the team sheet, arguably. Certainly for the foreseeable future, he is. And I'm not saying he needs to be in line with our top earners, of course not. But Patrice Evra was on 75 grand a week last season. Carlos Sanchez is probably on that this season. Now, I know they're experienced pros, etc., but they're not first team players. Declan is. And this is where it gets a bit... The board have to take a calculated risk here, because next summer, Declan's only got... his contract runs out, but the club have got a 2-year option, which they can activate like that. Fine. But then he's only got 2 years. And if you're having to activate that, that means he's still on about 3 grand a week. He's going to be pissed off, right? Declan will be pissed off at this point. But also, if City, United, Liverpool, or that come calling, he's only got 2 years left of his contract. His value is a lot less than what it could be. If you give him his 35 grand a week as it is today with a 5-year contract, his value trebles just like that. His value goes up to 50, 60 million. You have to pay big money to get him out of West Ham, because I generally think, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I don't think he'll be here in about 3 seasons. I don't think he will be at West Ham. And that's nothing against Declan. I actually want to see him go on and do what's best for his career. And he's good enough, from what we've seen, to go and play at bigger clubs than West Ham and win trophies. And he's already spoke about how he wants to win the Premier League. And you know something, that's exactly the type of attitude we need from someone at West Ham. I've never had an issue with players coming in. Do you know, when we signed Fernandez, he'd come in and he said, he basically said West Ham will do for now. I have no problem with that, because that's what I want. I want players to come in that are hungry to go on and win medals and stuff. I don't want players that come in and think, you know what, this is the level I want to be at. I'm comfy here in my 5-year deal, 60 grand a week. I'll just sit around here and do this. I want players young, hungry. I want to push on. And if Declan's got that attitude, which he looks like, I can't see him being here in 3 years, Gonzo, unless we somehow step up a level as a football club. And that's our challenge. That's the challenge of the board. So you have to get up to a level that Declan's happy at. I don't think we'll do it, but we have to make sure that we're ready. So when the next Declan Rice comes along, we are at the level that they want to compete at, etc. But it's about getting the value of Declan's transfer market value locked in. And that's by giving a contract like that. Otherwise, we know what football's like these days. People will be ringing his agent saying, don't sign anything. We'll come and get him in the summer or something. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to be promised stuff. It happens in football. And that's my worry a little bit. But I don't think that the offer he's got is adequate. It's maybe not insulting, but when you look around the Premier League, Christensen at Chelsea, 25 grand a week. The players his age, Rob Holding at Arsenal, 25 grand a week. Players his age in the Premier League are on about 25, 30 grand a week. That's what Declan is apparently asking for. He's not asking for 50 grand a week. He's asking to be paid what people his age in Premier League playing adequate minutes is getting. And I think it's only fair. And it's a shame that we've got this dark cloud hanging over the football club right now, when we're getting the results, things are feeling good, but we've just got this thing that's niggling us all as football fans, and we're all getting worried about it. It's all over social media because we are getting worried. You know, David Gold must go on Twitter. Half his notifications must be right now about getting Declan Rice to sign a new deal.
Yeah, the thing is, the situation has changed. So you said earlier on that's the going rate for a first-team player. Arguably against Bournemouth, you could have argued that he wasn't a first-team player because the new manager's come in, and whilst he would hope to have been in his plans, was he in his plans? Was he sure? There was every suggestion that whilst Moyes included him a lot, that Pellegrini might have taken a look at him and said, do you know what, I'm going to give him another season by easing him in. Now, that's not happened, but it just shows how quickly the landscape can change in football. But the landscape has changed, and they need to react very, very quickly. Because make no mistake about it, we're dealing with a guy that is single-minded enough. If he does so, he's single-minded enough to switch countries. So make no mistake about it, he's single-minded enough to switch football clubs, and that's what we're dealing with this now. So let's nail him down while he's willing to sign.
I also think it sends out an image about the club. I actually genuinely think this is our opportunity to say to other 18, 19-year-olds in the country, if you're good enough, come to West Ham. You will not only get game time, but once you've proven yourself on the pitch, we will give you a contract adequate enough. This summer is all James Maddison's gone to Leicester, etc. We need to become, Leicester have had success with Maddison, Harry Maguire, going into the Championship and picking out the best players, etc. We tried that with Frederick. It's not worked out yet. There's still hope for him. He's not written off. But this is what I've always wanted to see West Ham do: go into the Championship and get the best young talent from there. But in order to do that, I think you have to give them something to come and play for. And I think Declan Rice actually presents West Ham United as a football club an opportunity to prove that we are the academy of football, because we've lost that. We still use that tag, but we've lost it. We don't have that by merit in the last 10 seasons or something. We don't have anything to justify this tag anymore. We certainly did in the past, but not anymore. And I think Declan Rice is almost like maybe the start of a new thing for the Academy of Football, by saying, if you're good enough, come to West Ham, we'll come get you out of the Championship, we'll pay the money, and we will also pay you the contract. I bet you James Maddison is on double what Declan Rice is asking for at Leicester. He's over there doing stuff at Leicester. And I would just like to see West Ham be able to go get this season's James Maddison from the Championship, whoever that might turn out to be. There's certainly a few youngsters in there that's doing the business so far in the opening stages of the season. But I think to get a head start on Leicester, to get a head start on Everton, I think you need to do something. I think this Declan Rice opportunity allows us to do that. Say, look what we've done with Declan, because Everton done it with Lukeman. He's on 25, 30 grand a week from there. They went and got him, paid him the money. And I just think we're wasting our opportunity here by dragging our heels. And I think if you were a young player in the Championship and West Ham come about for you, you think, well, hang on a minute. I've seen what happened with Declan Rice there. He was playing in Premier League on pittance, and you wouldn't give him a new deal. I don't really fancy it. Leicester, oh yeah, I've seen what you've done with Maguire, Maddison. Maguire's now in the England first team centre-back. He's your first choice. I'm going there. I'm going to Leicester. You're a 19-year-old right now going to the Championship. Which club would you choose in Premier League if they all came knocking? Not the top six. Everyone outside the top six came knocking, and they gave offers relevant to what they're currently paying. Who would you choose? I imagine you'd be picking the likes of Leicester.
Yeah, well, they would probably have a much better example than that, because they just have to look at Jordan Hugill. If they were a striker in the Championship, you could look at that as an example of why not to come to West Ham, even though it was under different management, and you can make mitigating circumstances for it. What does interest me, though, and we've obviously sided very much on the way that he should get a new improved contract, and we all think so. But I do wonder, sort of penny for someone like Ruben Loftus-Cheek's thoughts on it. Because he probably does have the contract that Declan Rice wants, but he is held in nowhere near the same esteem with his own manager. And I do wonder if he would swap that, that regular first team football that being talked about as the top guy, on Talk Sport, actually being in there looking to press his claims, being wanted by two separate countries. I wonder if he'd swap some of his wage for being in Declan's position. And we both agree that he deserves more money, but I do think there's something there. And let's not forget, and I'll use that example because Declan left Chelsea, because there wasn't a route, just as same as Queener left Chelsea, there wasn't a route through from there, and he's found a route through at West Ham. So from that starting point, it has been successful. But we've got to make sure he doesn't turn into a Queener, or in many respects, a Reece Oxford.
Yeah, I'd imagine Loftus-Cheek might give up some of his wages, but I can guarantee you he wouldn't drop to Declan Rice's current wages in order to get the game time and stuff. And I doubt he would drop to what Declan Rice has been offered today in order to get the game time, etc. It's just the way football is these days. Luckily, Declan's got his head screwed on, but how long for? There's only so long this can go on for until he must get really pissed off. It's going to wear him down eventually. He's 19 years old. I'm impressed he's handled it this well up to this point. And it's a massive credit to him as a person that he's not kicked out, if you like. But more to come on this one. Hopefully he'll get tied up very soon. It'll be a long-term deal as well. The last thing I want to see is us activating this 2-year clause, because that's almost we did it with Adrian as well. It can't be a good feeling as a player when you're almost like held against your will almost when they activate that. It's almost like, well, we don't want to give you a new deal. We're just going to activate this and keep you anyway, so you don't really have an option. It's just I don't really like those clauses. I get why it's there. It's a safety blanket for the club, but I almost think it's like we'll just keep you because we have to type them. We don't have any better options. I just think it's it must be a horrible feeling as a player to get that activated and not get a new deal. I just think it's a bit can't be good for morale. But anyway, you were at the game on Sunday. Were you happy with the result, etc.? Because you went on the review. I know you did your instant reaction thing, but were you happy with everything?
Yeah, really, really happy. It was a good day, really good day. There was a spell, I think it was in the first half, I probably spoke about it then, it was really exhilarating stuff. There were 5 or 10 minutes when we were really going for it. And I turned to my wife and said, this is as good as it's been here. All right, we didn't score and whatnot, but it was really, really good. It was good fun to watch. We were attacking. We looked. The crowd was loud. It started to really get going in there as well. There seemed to be banter between not just the away fans and the immediate, so block 113, 114, or whatever it was, but where the boys sit, where Nick sits, and Dan and Matt and all the guys down there. It was going from there as well and over. And then the next block, which is that middle one, which can tend to be quite quiet, the one immediately behind the goal, that had gone really loud as well. And I didn't know what was being sung on the other side of the stadium, but clearly something was. And it just felt different, Geo. It felt a lot better.
I was going to ask about that because you can only hear so much. I couldn't go if there was watching, but there's only so much that comes through on the TV. And one of the questions we got on social media tonight was about the atmosphere, and the way he worded it suggested that the atmosphere was good on Sunday, etc. So I was going to ask about that anyway. Antonio's been getting a lot of criticism on social media since the game. What was your opinion on him?
I thought he was asked to play a position. I think he was probably, I don't know, I was going to say he was surprised. Maybe he wasn't. We were surprised because the team comes through on the app and we read it. Maybe they've worked on it in training. I knew Arnautovic wasn't. I don't know. That's the other thing. When you're at the game, you don't get every bit of juicy gossip. When you're not at the game, it starts filtering through on social media, and you might know if someone's had an early fitness test or a late fitness test. It's hard to get that when you're having a drink and walking to the stadium.
Just to jump in, actually, I know there was that X had a lot of stick about releasing the team news, and the last couple of weekends he stopped it. And I have to say, as much I've got no thing against X, and I don't really, the releasing the team sheets never really bothered me. But until Sunday, nobody knew until West Ham announced it at an hour before kickoff. There was no that Arnautovic not being in the team. It wasn't a surprise because everyone knew he was iffy.
Yeah,
no one knew for sure until the West Ham put out that he was out, and that's when everybody went, "Oh no, this is not good," etc. And I have to say that while I don't think it affected Chelsea's mindset like some people make on it does, it's probably affected West Ham fans' mindset, actually, because right up until an hour before kickoff, everybody was really optimistic. And like you guys, I'd imagine on Sunday would have been quite optimistic. But if you'd known Arnautovic wasn't playing first thing in the morning, and your day might have been a little bit more subdued. You might have been a bit more, I know Arnautovic, but while you were there, you'd have probably been thinking he's starting. We can actually get something from here, actually. And that's my only take on it. But yeah, on Sunday, the news about Arnautovic did not come out anywhere until it came out. The official team news came out.
Yeah, I mean, what normally happens, I never get that stuff that everybody else gets, and X releases. What happens with me on a match day is, because obviously we're down the boats and it's very Hammers Chat dominated, as it should be, as the Hammers Chat boats. People are aware that we're doing videos when we're on their match day. People are very aware of my vlog. So people will often come up and say, with 55 minutes to go, Gonzo, you've seen the team lineup, and, do you want to do, people remind me, which is nice. So I've never been that. I've never got the team news 3 or 4 hours before because I've allowed myself to be lazy, if you know what I mean. Obviously, I didn't do a vlog on that game, by the way. But when it came through, I just treated it as a bit of a surprise. And I just thought he tried his absolute best. I thought he worked his socks off. And I just thought his instruction would have been just to harry and close down those centre-backs as quick as he possibly could. And Rudiger, there's a lot of players go through. We see a lot of players. I've seen him play at Stamford Bridge now. I've seen him play at the Olympic Stadium. Rudiger's a very, very good player. He's a very good player. He's got a lot going for him. And I just think he was closing them down. He was chasing them. Did he do anything particularly skillful? No. Was he doing anything brilliant? No. Did he completely mishit a shot? Yes. But I think in terms of allowing, he did a lot of the running for Anderson and Yarmolenko. So I didn't expect anything great from him, but I thought he worked really, really hard. I know not everybody does, because I mentioned it to someone else. They said, what were you watching?
Yeah, I actually thought he played well. Do you know his two chances everyone goes on about? Like the first one is his weak foot, and when I was watching it on, the commentators like, "Oh, he should be trying to go across the face keeper," but I'm sorry, but Antonio is not good enough to do that with his weak foot. He's just not. Just like, to be honest, just like I wouldn't expect Yarmolenko to do it with his right foot. Like, he's just not good enough. He went for power, and you know something? If that was on target, there's a good chance it's going in, and everybody would say, "Oh, fantastic! He just goes straight for the power, brilliant." Blah blah blah. But because it went over. It was, I thought it was a bit harsh. But then his second chance, when the more I watch and more I actually think he's just unlucky. He gets literally a third of a second to do something. He can't look up to see where the keeper is because it's that quick. He's that close to the goal. He's got a defender reading him. He just hits it as hard as he can. But he's up against one of the league's best goalkeepers who's got his positioning absolutely bang on, and he's there. Now, against a poorer keeper, that goes in at the front post, and again, everyone praises him. Fantastic, Antonio, going for power at the front post. The keeper's got no time to get down, blah, blah, blah. And you know something? I've not seen many people criticise Yarmolenko for the header, which that chance was 100 times better than Antonio's. And I'll tell you what, that header, Antonio would have scored that, because one thing he does do is heading. And if that Antonio got Yarmolenko's chance, we would have scored. And I don't agree with people saying if we had Arnautovic doing the Antonio chances, he would have scored. I don't get this, because while Arnautovic is a better player, certainly, I'm sorry, but against Wolves, Arnautovic had an even better chance than Antonio had. And what did Arnautovic do? He smashed it at the keeper's head. He did what Antonio did. He blasted it. He didn't place it. He blasted it and it hit Patricio in the head. Now, Arnautovic was just unlucky, I thought, because again, he goes for power. So what? Should he have placed it? Maybe, but that's not the type of player he is. I just think Antonio is getting too much stick and too much. I don't understand why he's getting compared to Arnautovic, because, you know, literally 2 weeks ago, Arnautovic did the exact same thing from a better position than Antonio against Wolves, and we got beat that game. So how Arnautovic gets off with it, but Antonio's getting slagged off for doing something I think is not as bad, is beyond me. Now, I'm not Antonio's biggest fan. I would have happily seen him sold in the summer. That's not changed. I just think what he did against Chelsea was really good, and we missed him when he went off and Perez came on. And I think Antonio, I said on the review, I'll say again tonight in case yourself or anyone else hasn't watched the review, I think Antonio's running has got a lot more intelligent this season. He doesn't run as much as he used to. He stands still. When the ball's at the other side of the pitch, he doesn't move. And I think it's the right thing, because then when the ball does come from him, he can run. He's got the energy. He's going to last longer. This week he lasted 65 minutes. Next week he'll last 70 minutes. The week after he'll last 75. Because he's now thinking the best person ever, from while I've been alive watching football, the best person ever to make runs while I've been watching football is Frank Lampard. He always knew. He was never the fastest player, but he was always there. Whenever the ball come into the box, he was always on the edge of it, bang, go, because he knew when to run. And quite often there'd be a Chelsea attack. The bugger wouldn't even move forward because he just could tell that nothing was going to come of it, so he didn't run. He used to run intelligently, if you like. I just think Antonio had a little bit about him on Sunday about that. He wasn't chasing stupid balls. When the ball went pinging over, he just let the Chelsea defender go get it, and he stayed on the halfway line. He thought, I'm not going to chase you. But if there was a 50-50 race, he did chase him and try and get a throw in and stuff. I actually think he played really, really well on Sunday, and I don't understand the criticism for Sunday's game. He's been disappointing previously, yes, but Sunday, I think he did really well. And Noble's getting criticised again. I'm not even going to go into that because that'll just piss me off even more. But I just don't understand why there has to be negativity from what was a really good result when we were missing our two best players, and we were unlucky to not win at the end of the day. We had the two of the best chances of the game. But that's it. Is there anything else you'd like to say on Chelsea? That's my rant over.
No, I thought everybody played really well. What I would like to say is, obviously, I did that little reaction piece, and I said to the boys that we need to try and keep this about 4 minutes. So, you know, we got sort of, you know, just over a minute to speak each. And I forgot at the end, I hadn't mentioned Zabaleta, who'd been really, really good. Everybody played well, but I did really enjoy watching Zabaleta play.
Yeah, Hernandez didn't play, but he had glandular fever, but he's back now. He's apparently supposed to start against Macclesfield Town tomorrow night. You're watching this, it's recorded on Tuesday night. So he's back to start. We've got a couple of questions for him at the end of the show, so we'll wait till the end of the show because people have asked questions about Hernandez. Wilshere's injured again.
Oh, have we not? Oh, crikey, yeah.
We did a couple of chase since then.
Oh,
I was on my adventure, not to see Nessie. I was on my
adventure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just very, very disappointing. Obviously, there's lots of people that predicted it would happen. So, yeah, they obviously look to be right, don't they? Hopefully, it's not as bad as we hoped. I mean, it came at the right time. Unfortunately for West Ham, it did come at the right time. Bad for Jack, and I still hope Jack does well. I see lots of people who, because he's got injured, that's it, soldier show, writing him off. Well, hold on a second, he's at the start of his West Ham career. He could turn out to be a good player for West Ham, but in terms of our team shape, formation, it almost left Pellegrini with no choices. He had to play no Declan Rice, which was what he needed to play. So it sort of worked out. It worked out for us. But listen, hopefully he can come back and offer lots to West Ham.
Yeah, it's only 6 weeks. I know it's only 6 weeks, but there's an international break as well. He'll be back. He'll miss a few games, but then he'll be back. It's not like a lengthy injury. I'd be concerned if it was months, but it's not. It's 6 weeks. Hopefully he comes back better. And something? I think it might do Jack, certainly from my perspective. I know everybody's agreeing with me, but I just thought he's been disappointing so far since he arrived. And actually, I'm hoping it sort of maybe does him good to get away from the squad a little bit, not necessarily get his head together, but just to get away, let the team build, and when he comes back in, there'll be less pressure, there'll be less, hopefully he won't be under the magnifying glass so much, etc. But like you said, it's allowed Pellegrini to find a working combination in midfield. It's been a blessing in disguise. While you never want to see a midfielder, want to see a player get injured, it's worked out for the best for us, unfortunately, for Jack. Loans, Oxford manager has been saying that Marcus Brown is the best player in that league. Have you seen that?
I saw the comments. I've not seen any of his goals or his gameplay or anything, but I've read that, and that's obviously excellent news.
Indeed, it is. They're a bit crap at the moment, though. Oxford, they're not doing much, but I think they're getting beat tonight. But they are playing Man City. Samuelson got his first goal at that Dutch club. I think it was tonight or yesterday, got his first goal for the Dutch club. Have you given up on these players yet, by the way? I know we talk about them all the time, but
I hadn't given up on Brad. The trouble is, Samuelson, I mean, I first saw him, he played a friendly against Peterborough before he even went on loan there. He's brilliant, looked like the best young thing. And it's not like you see some young players, you think, or maybe when they grow into themselves. And Samuelson's a big boy. I saw Samuelson last season training alongside Ginge, and he was the same size as him. This is not someone waiting to grow into his skin, so to speak. He's a big boy. He's technically really good. So every time he slips out of my consciousness or slips out of my mind and I see him not really doing anything, I think the time's up for him. But every time I see him play in the flesh, maybe I should just go to every one of his games. Every time I see him play live, he looks like he's really got a lot going for him. So I can't. It's a funny one. Yeah, I probably would give up on him again, and I'll see him again, and he'll look brilliant again. So nothing would surprise me with Samuelson, although he needs to get a wriggle on if he's going to start doing anything. But if he's starting to score goals, then maybe that's it. And Brown I hadn't, because he had such a bad injury, and we've just not had a chance to see enough for him. And there was always the chance that this move works out really well for him. I've given up on Martinez, though, certainly.
Yeah, me too. I've given up with Samuelson as well. We're going to start taking your questions for you, those watching live on YouTube. In the live chat, I'll start writing them down. If I miss them, when I do the live YouTube questions, or I miss them, just keep putting them up. I'll get to them eventually. We'll start with the social media ones as always. Gonzo, your favourite time, Twitter questions, at Doobs Official. Doobs. He says, are we good enough without Arnautovic? We should have beaten Chelsea and he wasn't playing, so how important really is he?
Yeah, well, he's very important, particularly in light of the fact that Hernandez wasn't around, and Hernandez find it hard to slip into whatever formation under any manager. Actually, Joe said we're going to discuss it later. Arnautovic is significantly better as a forward than anyone else we've got, so he is very, very important to us. Having said that, we didn't get a bad result without him, man. I do think with him, we'd have had a good chance of winning that game. But yeah, I mean, but it's stating the obvious, isn't it? He is very, very important to us. He is... Him and Lanzini are our best two players.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what I will say is I think Sunday showed we're not a one-man team. I was getting a bit concerned because before the game, after the Everton game, this stat come out. And in West Ham's last 15 Premier League goals, 11 have been scored or set up by Arnautovic. Now, everybody was praising this, and I was thinking, well, this isn't good, because that means 4 of them, but we only scored 4 goals without Arnautovic. I was a bit like, well, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but stats can be manipulated. I know I like my stats, but they can be manipulated, hence why I said earlier, about Declan Rice. A 19-year-old's demanding that much money, but a first-team player's only asking for that much money. It depends how you look at it. So I was looking at the whole 4 goals, and we didn't score, so you could argue that stat stands up. But I don't think we're a one-man team. That sort of thing has been relaxed in my mind a little bit. Last season or the season before, we had it with Lanzini, we had it with Payet as well. You always worry, but it's natural. If your best player's missing, you're going to struggle. But it was good to see us actually have a go at Chelsea as well, despite not having our main man. We still had the confidence and the swagger to take the game to them at periods. But Richie at alternatively or 00, whatever that is, Richie says, do you think we should sell Hernandez? Now, this is interesting because Chris Coleman on YouTube asked the same thing. Now, one of them saying in the summer, and the other one saying in January. But Mr. Virus Boy, would you be looking to offload him?
I don't think we get any money for him because he's just on too high wages. I can't see anybody buying him. But I do think it's just not worked out for him. Listen, if somebody came along and said there's 15 million, would you get rid of Hernandez and give 15 million to Pellegrini? Then I would think yes. Yeah, that might be worth doing. I just can't see it happening though. I just can't see anyone coming in with any money. He's on such a good wage. No one's going to match it. I don't think he's past it, by the way. But I think bearing in mind he's not worked out for sort of 3 successive managers now. It's just probably not going to work out for him at West Ham. But he's a hell of a talented player.
Yeah, it's frustrating, actually, because he's still the best finisher at the club. I'll tell you what, that Antonio chance he had on Sunday and Arnautovic's chance against Wolves, Hernandez might have tucked them away. While I don't agree with people saying Arnautovic would have scored Antonio's chances, if they were to say Hernandez would have, I would agree with them, actually. I would say, yeah, he probably would. He is our most clinical finisher, despite him perhaps not fitting in. But it's a bit like when Bilic, then Moyes had Arnautovic, and people were saying we should maybe sell Arnautovic. Actually, I like I said back then about Arnautovic, I'll say it with Hernandez. We should be saying to Pellegrini, it's your job to get this guy to work. It's your job to find how to play with him. You didn't buy him, but he is your highest earner in your squad. It's your job to get the best out of Hernandez. You're well paid to do this. This is your task. Even if we are trying to sell him, we can't. Pellegrini still has to get him fired in because who's going to buy him if he's sitting on the bench doing nothing? Nobody. So we need to get him in the squad. We need to get him doing something. I wouldn't be disappointed if he left because it means we can go buy Danny Ings. I still want Danny Ings. I'm not giving up. He's only on loan at Southampton. Go get him. At Liam Banks 1978 says, are the last 2 results due to us playing counter-attacking football, or are the players finally getting a message, or is it a bit of both? It's the latter for him.
I would say a bit of both. I mean, certainly the first, I was nodding to the first one, so I certainly agree with that. It's something I've spoken about on a couple of videos as well. But I do believe that's right. It's not this thing. It's not, it's not black and white. Like I said earlier, I do think a bit of both is a good answer. Actually, as boring as it might be, I do think it's more time on the training pitch with Pellegrini. It's more time the players playing together. It's less chopping and changing of the team, which is never helpful while he's trying to find it. And actually, just going back on that, whilst we're on that subject, maybe actually if you slipped Hernandez into the way the team are playing better now, maybe Hernandez does score goals in this team. I just have a feeling with that one. I think if Arnautovic was out, and let's say there was a fully fit Hernandez and a fully fit Andy Carroll, I still think Andy Carroll's going into the team as a replacement for Arnautovic, if those are the choices.
Yeah, I think it's, to be honest, I think it is a bit of both, but I also think it's Pellegrini putting an extra man in midfield. I think that's where we've been. I think it's where we won the battle against Everton, and I think it's where we held our own against Chelsea as well. I would not have liked to see us play Chelsea with 2 centre midfielders. I think we would have lost that game. This is in hindsight as well. After seeing how Chelsea play, having 3 in there was crucial. And but I'm really, really pleased that we're now learning how to play with a back 4. I really did not want to see us go back to a back 5. I didn't think Pellegrini would do it. And I think that was a little bit of a worry because we had to make it work. If Pellegrini was in stick with a back 4, we had to make it work. And I think we finally are starting to learn how to play with a back 4 now. And that's good. Counter-attacking football, It does work for us, but we've also got the players for it. And it was good to see Snodgrass come on and be able to sort of make some sort of impact. Cause he's the one I worry about playing counter-attack football, because I just don't think he's fast enough. Well, Yarmolenko, Anderson has got the pace. And I think Lanzini, when he comes back, he's got the pace. Snodgrass is the one I was a bit worried about. But we just have to be patient. I still think there's a lot better to come from West Ham under Pellegrini. We're nowhere near it yet, and I still think he will learn how to play 4-2-3-1 at West Ham. Not against Chelsea, not at Goodison Park, not against Man United, but when we're at home to, Brighton and Burnley and stuff, we're going to have to get rid of that midfield three, because we just won't be able to break them down. But for now, it's working happily. At Phil Chapman _ Phil says, will Josh Cullen ever break into the first team? And with Wilshere injured, would you recall him?
Yes, I would recall him, actually. That's a very, very good idea. But the answer to the first question is no. Josh Cullen will not break into the first team, because that won't happen.
Yeah, I would have recalled him, but I don't think we'll ever. I said this when he went out on loan. That's him done at West Ham. His contract's up in the summer. We're not going to see him at West Ham again, unfortunately. At Trot, Phil says, was it a romantic idea signing West Ham fan Wilshere, or the fact he was free? Should we have signed Maddison, McGinn, Seri, or even Payet instead? And are you confident he will come good eventually?
I think it was because he was free, in answer to the first question. I think the West Ham ban thing had very little to do with it once Pellegrini came in and decided. I think once Lanzini got injured, it changed the whole landscape. And I think we had another position to fill. I do believe that a lot of the budget had been allocated to certain players. And I believe that Pellegrini looked at it and thought, well, I've already allocated a certain number of my funds to, as we found out in hindsight, Anderson and Yarmolenko. And I just think the Wilshere deal was a way for him to carry on with his spending plan and plug a gap. So I just think that's what's happened there. So if I do believe that, and I don't think the other ones, Maddison and Payet, were viable. Although Maddison would have been a lovely signing, of course. Am I confident he'll come good? Well, I hope so. It's hard to be confident. It is hard to be confident. I certainly hope so. I've got nothing but goodwill towards him. I really do hope for the best. And I know there's a very talented player in there. And you've only got to look at his highlights reel from last season to know that this is not a completely washed up player. There's a talented player in there who was beating players for fun last season. Nothing really has happened since then. So he has every chance of doing so. And do you know what? He just might find it an awful lot easier to but become part of a balanced team once a team is established. It's so hard fitting 5-6 new players into a team system. When he comes back, maybe they'll know each other a little bit better.
I just echo Gonzo's sentiments in terms of financials and why we signed him, but I think we will see a good signing in Jack Wilshere. Will he be worth it financially? I don't know, but will we see him man a match some games? Yes. Will he entertain the crowd? Yes, I think he will. Will he sometimes become our main player for a period of 4 or 5 games? Probably. I think we'll see all that, but will we see it often enough and consistent enough to justify the expenditure? I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's the risk we had to take. We're West Ham United. We had to take that risk in order to get such a talent. On his day, Jack Wilshere's good enough for top 6. It's just his injuries is what's stopping him from being in the top 6 club, and that's the type of player we have to take a risk on, and because we're not top 6. And to go get a Jack Wilshere, to get someone as good as Jack Wilshere, who's not injured, he's 50 million. We don't have 50 million. We have to take the freebie that's broken and hope that we can mend him a little bit, or put up with the fact that he's only going to play half the season. But when he does play, he should, hopefully, be one of our best players on the pitch. It's up to us to make sure we've got the squad good enough that when he is injured, we can replace him. And we have Obiang or whatever to fit in, and we can do without Jack Wilshere. That's the challenge. At Tommy_Gun86, Tom says, with the system working as well as it is, if Lanzini was fit right now, where would you accommodate him?
Centrally. I've always thought this was Lanzini's best position. Actually, he's not bad when he's out wide. I think you could argue the case, actually, when he plays wide left, he's better than Anderson. And I do firmly believe Lanzini is our best player and, on a par with Arnautovic, whatever. He's that good. We can't afford to leave him out of the team. I would. But I've always thought of him as a midfielder. I think he's got enough legs in him to be a midfielder. And if he's somebody that's got 2 other sitting midfielders beside him, if you've got Declan Rice in the team and someone else next to Declan, there's no reason Lanzini can't be that third midfielder. No reason at all. So I'd play him there.
I would change it. Depends on who we're playing, to be honest. But certainly for Chelsea, Man U, I'd like him to be in the centre midfield as well. I remember writing an article about this ages ago about him being in centre midfield. The way I phrased it as we need someone to create for the creative players. That's how I always word it. And I think that's, if we were lacking anything on Sunday, I think that's what it was. When Yarmolenko and Anderson got the ball, they were usually still in the middle third. And it was just, we need someone in there who can give it to them in the final third, get them in behind the defence, etc. And then we'll see a completely different plan. And Lanzini's a hard worker. He does track, he does tackle, he does graft, but there's sometimes I would like to see him out in that final third, because he is also quick. He's not just like pace-wise, but when he gets the ball, he knows what he's way to do. He doesn't stand still and look up, etc. As soon as he gets it, he's running with it. And he's quite clinical as well. I don't think he wastes a lot of chances, Lanzini. I mean, I still remember that goal he scored against Palace. That was a top striker's finish when he ran through and dinked it over the keeper when he came out of it. That was a beautiful finish. And I don't think he wastes a lot of chances. But yeah, so either or for me. But I tell you what, it's good to have someone as good as him that is a little bit versatile as well. Eddie at Swoop Wing says, have you ever been tempted to have a coffee rather than a cup of tea? You had one actually not long ago, because we did one in the morning.
Yeah, a tea is a nice drink, Eddie. I would just be absolutely very, coffee is a foul drink, but I do have to drink it sometimes. But it's a bit like whiskey. You know what I mean? You drink a quick shot of it just to get you drunk. I have a quick blast of coffee to get me, to wake me up. But apart from the hardcore, maybe you get people that drink whiskey. Most of the people chuck in white ice in there and mixers and different bits. Coffee's like that. There is a reason that people have chocolate sprinkles, cream, marshmallows, anything you actually can to pile it on top. And by the time they finish with the coffee, it tastes nothing like a cup of coffee at all. And there's a reason for that. And it's just coffee is disgusting. Although I will add that when the beans are ground, it smells very nice, an open pack of coffee. But tea is nicer than coffee. And I'm not even arguing about it below.
I don't like coffee. So this is how bad it is. In this summer, pre-season, let's keep it football related. Pre-season, I had to make my first cup of coffee for someone. I didn't know what to do. I was like, "How do you do it? Like, what's the order?" Obviously, I know the ingredients. A, how much spoons of this stuff put in, and B, like, what's the order of stuff going in the cup? Like how much milk do I need? I was all over the place. I needed instructions. I needed a step-by-step guide on how to make a cup of coffee. But
were you asked to make a second one? Because that's how you know if you've done well or not.
Yeah, I have done. I'd say I've been promoted to amateur level. I'm on my way to being a novice, so I'm doing all right actually on the coffee scale. I'm doing all right, but I'll stick to tea. Thank you very much. Ian at I Beaumont says, if Arnautovic is injured again, should we consider playing Yarmolenko through the middle? He's surprised we didn't try it at the weekend.
That's not a bad shout, actually. That's not a bad shout at all. Who'd you play wide then?
Well, I'd imagine you'd play Antonio or Snodgrass, wouldn't you?
That's not a bad shout. He's got a swagger. He's got a bit of swagger about him. I've never seen him play there before, but he's big enough. He's skillful enough. He's clearly got a good finish apart from the headers. That's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. We didn't expect to find ourselves in this position. Let's be fair. Realistically, for the squad we should have at least an Arnautovic, Hernandez, or Carroll, at least one of them available. So anytime you don't have those three,
Perez.
Yeah, there you go. Anytime you don't have any of those strikers available, you're going to have to do something different, aren't you? And if that's the case, he's as good a shout as any.
What I like about Yarmolenko more, I noticed this actually, Anderson failed to do this on Sunday. He can make half a yard. When he's one-on-one with the defender, he knows how to make half a yard, so he can either get a crossing or get a shot away. Now, there was one point Anderson got the ball. It was right in the middle of Chelsea's box, 20 yards out. It was in the first half. I remember it because it was a rare attack. He got the ball to his feet. There's a Chelsea player standing in front of him. You could see Anderson a little bit like, and then he flicked in shot and he just hit the defender and bounced away. But Yarmolenko gets it. He knows how to shuffle. He knows how to drop his shoulder. And he gets half a second, but that's all he needs in order to take the shot away. And as a striker, that half a second is crucial. And I wouldn't be against playing him up front, actually, because I think he can do it. I also think he's quite direct. If he gets the ball, he will turn and run at that defence. He won't hold it up and wait for backup. He will turn and say, right, I'm coming at you now, and I'm going to run at you. So, yeah, I'm not against that. It would be interesting to see, if you like, I thought we tried it in the first half. At one point, Yarmolenko did go central, but it got switched back about 2 minutes later. So it was clear just because one of them was out of position and Antonio was out wide. So they swapped back quickly enough anyway. But last question from Twitter before we move on to YouTube. That Shahir says, could Fabianski become West Ham's best goalkeeper since Ludo?
Hello, Shahir. I hope your son is getting on better with his football team. But yeah, we've had some good keepers at West Ham, haven't we? That's the thing. We have had some good keepers. The thing I like about Fabianski is it was tempting to think when we bought in that we were buying this sort of aging guy in his 36. He's 31, right? Is that right?
Sure. I think he's a bit older. Could be right.
Is it? Well, I looked at the age. I thought it was 31, and I thought actually this guy's got 4, 5, 6 years left in him.
I thought he was about 34. Someone on the live chat will tell us in a second. Someone go look up how old he is. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. Cheers. Okay, well, if that's the case, then if we get 3 or 4, 5 years out of him, then that's really good. And I think with that time, you've got a lot of time to establish yourself. Well, we've had some good keepers. I think Robert Green was a very, very good goalkeeper, by the way. Well, Hislop was a decent goalkeeper. I thought there were times when David James was very good, So we've had some good goalkeepers, and there'll be other people in the chat shouting out other names, of course, at the moment. But yeah, I think he's got every chance of going down as a very good goalkeeper for West Ham.
He's definitely been like the player of the season so far. He's definitely been the player of the season. I noticed that he's had the second most saves in the top 5 leagues in Europe so far this season, which just shows how much shots he's had fired at him so far in the first 6 games. He's 33 years old, by the way. Everyone's telling us he's 33, so we were both wrong, but I was closer. Nah. but even at 33, though, he can still play for 4 or 5 years as a goalkeeper. Petr Cech's probably about 50 now, and he's still going on. But I think he is a good goalkeeper. He's surprising me at how good he is with his crosses, actually, because when he come, everyone was reminding us he got that nickname Fabianski. But I tell you what, he's good when the ball gets crossed in. I actually feel quite comfortable. I don't panic. When Adrian used to come for a cross, I used to think, oh no, but that's because he used to try and punch and showboat, roll around on the floor after, wait for the camera to be on him, and that's what Adrian was. I just feel we've got a keeper. I just feel Fabianski, he does the simple things as simple as they should be done, and he doesn't overly care about the limelight, if you like. I just feel like when there's a simple catch, he catches it, whereas I think sometimes Adrian would punch over the bar or something just to make it look good, and that used to frustrate me a bit. But on Sunday, his distribution really impressed me, Fabianski. The way he got in, ran to the edge of his box, bang, he had it down that park sometimes, and we were trying to catch him on the break with our pace, and I really like that. That's what I'm looking forward to against Man United, because depends who they play, Man U, but they could be caught out. And I don't think they've got the fastest defence in the league, Man United. So it'd be interesting to see if Fabianski continues with this, get it to the edge 18-yarder and boot it, while half the team of both teams are still behind him in the 18-yarder trying to get out. So interesting. We'll move on to the YouTube questions. All these questions now are from the YouTube live chat. Chris Coleman was just asking about Hernandez as well. Jamie Betts says, should we sell Andy Carroll in January? Now, we're not going to be able to sell him because he's injured. He's back in training now, apparently. But he's now in his last year. Have you completely given up on him? Because I think most people have. Are you expecting him to be bye-bye in the summer?
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen the last goal at West Ham from Andy Carroll, actually. Now, I still think he's got a part to play in this season. And he'd be playing. He would have played this weekend. I'm sure of it if he'd have been fit. It's particularly with what we got 3 games in 6 days or whatever the run of games is, he would have been involved. So I still think he's got a part to play. I don't think we can base any of our future around him at all. You just can't. What would you do? The only way you would ever keep Andy Carroll involved is if you gave him a pay-as-you-play contract. You couldn't offer Andy Carroll 3 years or anything like that. That's the only thing. But I still think the story's got a little way to run.
Yeah, I just think he's gone in the summer because unfortunately for him, Pellegrini's now planning with the squad he's got and he's not in it. So Pellegrini will be happy with the squad he's got, and he's not there. And I just think it's frustrating because I really like Carroll. I even when people get fed up with him, I still try and defend him because I still think he's a good player. I still think I'm still adamant we would have got relegated possibly the last 2 seasons without his goals, especially that last season, one before when Bilic's full season. I'm adamant we would have got relegated without Andy Carroll scoring because he scored about 6 goals in 8 games or something. That they were crucial ones as well. He's just not been. He's just been unlucky. We can all debate long and hard if he's done the best for him in terms of going out drinking and stuff, blah blah blah. But I don't care. Even if he hasn't done his body his best, I still think there's a massive slice of just hard luck in Andy Carroll's injury life. But I think, while I think he'll score a few more goals, like you say, I think this May, I think, is the last time we'll see him in a West Ham shirt. Unfortunately for Andy, I can't see how we can justify keeping him on beyond that. He's on big wages, and it's a lot of wages we can free up. And even if we don't have the transfer funds to go get someone, it means we can go get a loan replacement in for 80 grand a week. It's a lot of money to go get someone. So I think it's the end is near for Andy at West Ham. Mark Weir's asking if you enjoyed the Yarmolenko video. I assume you've seen it when he went in the changing room. They had that picture up.
Oh, the square, very much so, very much so. Not because it was funny, which it was. That's great. I'm glad it was. To see the squad having fun. It was to. I work in a brutal industry. You know, I work in the building trade. We kill each other at work. We rip the. You know, we are brutal, and it's brilliant. I've got to say, it is brilliant. It gives you a thick skin. And it allows you to really have a good laugh with everybody. You'll call each other names. Everyone's got nicknames. I mean, people will be horrified in today's sort of PC culture, be horrified with the things that we call each other. But it does build a team spirit. It does build banter. We do all get on really, really well. There is an initiation ceremony to it all, and I liked it because it showed me that he'd settled, and because he had the thing up and the square head, it was a good gag. You know, your head must be square. Your head must be square if it's gone off at that angle. And I loved Noble walking through, and I also loved the fact that Yarmolenko felt that he could have a laugh about it to such an extent he could walk through the dressing room with his phone. And I love Noble going, "Oh, not me, mate," or whatever he said. Yeah, the joker for the team is great, but I just thought it just gave an oversight into how the team are bonding as mates. That was great. I was very, very happy with that.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's also because it would be easy for some of the players to be pissed off with Yarmolenko almost. And bear in mind, this is less than 24 hours after the game's finished. It would be, you know, I'd imagine when the Noble and that went home on Sunday, they were probably thinking, bloody bugger, watching a match a day, they've been thinking, how has he missed this? You know, it'd been very easy to carry that on to training the next day where you're looking at him thinking, it's your fault. You know, I've been ran myself into the ground for 86 minutes in the middle of the park, getting hurt, because he did get hurt at one point, Noble. You know, Declan Rice a cramp at one point, and these players are running themselves in the ground. You get the chance and you've missed it. So it was good to see that they can take the piss out of him. He took it the right way. Because, again, you talk about PC world. There's some PC world would get offended by that these days. They're going to work.
Sure.
What are you doing? You know, it's not my fault. They'd get offended. They'd be away to Pellegrini going, they're taking the piss out of me. What you can do about this? It was good to see that the culture is just what it should be. So it was good. Daz. Now, we're only coming up to October, but Daz is saying, in January, is there any upgrades we need to be looking at in the team?
Yeah, I still, excuse me, I still think central midfield, some with energy in there, and maybe something up front. You're going to have to talk now, Jay. I'm going to mute it and cough.
Yeah, it's all right. In January, I genuinely wouldn't be looking to sign anyone. Right now, I wouldn't look to sign anyone. If one leaves, then we get one in, okay? But I'm happy with what we've seen so far, and I don't think we need any disruptions. We're talking about how we struggled in the first few games because we're taking players in. Well, let's not bring any more in. And I often find it bad. January, for me, is the transfer window to fix what went wrong in the summer, or is panicking. I don't think we need to do anything. I think summer transfers went well. I think hopefully we'll be in a position we don't need to panic. So instead of paying over the odds and paying £9 million, £10 million for a Jordan Hugo, let's just keep the money. Let's just keep I don't think we've got much anyway. But what we do have, let's keep it for the summer, where we can go look for a £4 million Balbuena, or we can go find a 70 million Yarmolenko, because them in January are 10 million and 30 million. So let's just not buy anyone. And I don't think the board and Pellegrini can get a bigger compliment come the end of January if we don't have to sign a player. I think that's where you can look at what you've done in the summer and think, well, we obviously did a very good job because we've not had to rectify anything in this transfer window. Now, if someone comes in with a £25 million bid for Antonio, then the game changes. We then need to go replace him. But unless that happens, don't buy anyone, in my opinion. Let's just plan for next summer, because what we have is a very good squad. There's no doubt about that. It's enough to get us through to summer. We should finish mid-table with it. And then let's use the whole season to evaluate every single player and work out who the deadwood is now, who is this next summer's Chiati, and then find out which players we can go get. The young ones, the expensive ones, our marquee signing, who are they? Now, there's one position I think we need to be targeting next summer. But for January, nah, I wouldn't be touching it. But you obviously think different.
Yeah, I just think I think he's a stop. I think Obiang is a stopgap for us. I think he has got his eyes set on a move back to Italy. I don't think it. Well, I think it's clear he was not in Pellegrini's original planning. Now, I think Pellegrini surprised him. I think Pellegrini, you mentioned two in midfield. I think maybe Pellegrini wanted to play two in midfield. He's realised it hasn't worked. So with that in mind, maybe in Pellegrini's own mind, the squad is slightly unbalanced to what he now feels he's going to have to do. Obviously, Lanzini coming back in January changes the complexion totally. But even with that, I still think we're an energetic box-to-box player, if you like. Someone that can tackle, can pass, and a little bit of both, and can run a lot. So if that player came available, I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that they wanted to do. Do I think if Carroll, Hernandez, Perez are all fit and available, we need to get another striker? No, but if actually, Carroll's not going to work out, if Perez has still by that point not scored a goal for us or something, and Hernandez is going in the same way that he's gone for the past 2 or 3 seasons, then I think I can see a point where we might want to look at doing something for a striker.
Yeah, I would. No changes for me. Malcolm says, has your expectations changed? Also, at the start of the season, we'd have had some expectations. Have they changed? And has Pellegrini impressed you?
My expectations haven't changed. We do a preview at the start of the season. I predicted that we finished 11th, and I said to a few people, I said 11th. I fancied more 13th, actually. But I thought we'd have a really good run in the cup, in one of the cups. And actually, whether you think it's 11th or 13th, take the middle, take 12th. I don't see any reason to think that can't happen. I think we still can finish in and around mid-table, and I think we still can have a good run in a cup. If someone takes that clip tomorrow after we lose to Macclesfield of me saying we can have a run in a cup and starts posting it, then you're very nasty. I think we can have a run in a cup. I think we can do well. Has Pellegrini impressed me? Not yet. Not yet, but he hasn't. I'm not unimpressed with him. I'm neutral, if you like. We've got 4 points. That's not, it's not like supposed to be at the top of the league, aren't we, or anything like that? And unfortunately, we're not bottom anymore. So I'm quite neutral, but I'm hoping that he's starting to turn it his way. I'm starting to see some promising signs.
Yeah, and my expectations were the same as Gonzo at the start of the season. They remain untouched. He's impressed me in some aspects. He had a lot when he buggered off to Chile on a holiday, and there was a lot of people going at him for that. He's handled that well, because since he's come back, he's obviously got 4 points out of 6 against 2 difficult fixtures. So he's been proven right to go ahead and go do his holiday, but he handled it well. There was a lot of media on him, and he's handled that well. He's also stuck with his back four, which has impressed me, because as we see with Bilic and Moyes, when we're not going well, that back 5 button gets pressed, and we start playing turgid football to try and get 1-0s, and he's not done that. He's gone, hang on a minute, no, I'm going to stick with my back four. That's impressed me. He's also not been scared to drop big players. Ogbonna's the prime example. He's come in and has obviously looked up, took his 2 centre-backs in. He started Ogbonna at the start of the season, stuck with him, and he's obviously not been impressed by him, and he's gone, out you come, change my centre-backs up. And it's good to see him do that. It's just as long as he continues it with the rest of the squad, should he need to drop other players. But Zabaleta has also been rotated, and it's good to see that, well, he's planning for game by game as well. He's not afraid to leave Zabaleta out, Noble out. No, Noble was injured and stuff, but we can take that if you like it. Bona, Adrian, start of season has not been involved. It's good to see him make these changes, even with Masuaku and Creswell. He tried Masuaku, didn't like it, put Creswell in, didn't like it, he changed it back. And I like to see that, because too often at West Ham we see managers stick with what everyone in the fans, all the crowd can see as an issue. The managers still stick with it, because it's almost like a pride thing, like, actually, no, I'm the manager, I'm right, I'm just going to keep this, even though it's not working, and we can all see it. So it's good to see him be open-minded and stuff like that. So he's impressed me in some ways, and I suppose our early season jitters after losing the first 4 games, especially that Wolves game when he was moving his midfield about, and we were all a bit confused at what he's doing, he's calmed that a little bit now. So he has impressed to an extent, but there's still a lot to go. But the one thing I do like, though, is we're not playing long ball football. That's the best thing. Even against Chelsea, it was direct, but it was not getting launched up to Antonio. It was passes, and that's what impresses me the most, and that's what I'm glad to see. That's what I always want to see in a manager. That's that. But Gonzo, come to end the show. Is there any final words you would like to say? We've got some Hammers Chat news coming up in a second, so if you'd like to stick around for that, please do, because it's important. But Gonzo, is there any final West Ham stuff you would like to chat about?
No, not West Ham stuff per se. I do want to say congratulations to Chav Corner, and I don't think he was christened as that. That's his online name, and his wife, who have congratulations on the birth of their son. So that was what I wanted to say, really.
Chav Corner Jr. has been born.
He certainly has.
As for the Hammers Chat news, our boats are running before the Macclesfield game on tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and the Man United game. Also, if you want a season ticket for it, we are doing pro rata ones. Some people have asked about them. It's just easier for us to let you have a season ticket than you buy every single game. You can get one by emailing hammerschat@gmail.com. We'll talk via email. And lastly, we've got a deal with the Moxie Hotel for you all. If you need a hotel in Stratford to stay, the Moxie Hotel, you can see it in some of the clips that's been on our channel before. If you go check Gonzo's morning clip from the Chelsea game, which is 2 videos ago. It's 2 minutes from Westfield. It's only opened at the end of last year, so it's completely modern. The bar is 24/7. And just because you're watching this, or you like Hammers, well, maybe you don't like Hammers Chat, but I'll tell you what, you've done well to listen to the whole video if you don't like Hammers Chat. You get 15% off. The code is LPR. So when you click on it, say you've got a corporate code, and type in LPR, bam, 15% off, just because you like us. We've stayed there a lot last season, and quite often some people email us and say, where's good, blah, 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 we need a hotel. So we've never really found a hotel, but we now have. So in the summer, we contacted them and said, "Oi, we wanted to send people your way, but you've got to give them money off, or we're not doing it." So they said, okay, they can't 15% off. So there's that as well. But Gonzo, any final words?
No final words, but I'll tell you what, rest assured, as soon as we finish, I will think, I wish I'd have said that.
It always happens, doesn't it? But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow night for the Macclesfield review on this channel, and I will see you on Saturday at the game. But anyway, those who have listened, if you're on iTunes, make sure you subscribe to our feed on iTunes and drop a review on it if you can. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and leave your comments below. We will be reading them, etc., etc. But Gonzo, good night.
Good night.
And it's good night from me. Thank you for joining us.